For 2 years, he hadn't spoken a single word. Leo, the heir to a billionaire fortune, lived in a profound silence, confined to his wheelchair since the accident that took his mother. His father, Alexander Sterling, had tried everything, but the boy remained lost in an empty world. Until Rosa, the new cleaner at the mansion, did something no one expected. While cleaning, she began to hum an old Italian lullaby. What happened next shocked everyone and ignited a dangerous war within the mansion, because the housekeeper, who held a dark secret, would do anything to ensure the truth about the boy and the cleaner never came to light. Rosa Bellini, 28 years old, silently cleaned the windows of the immense library in the Sterling Mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. Her movements were delicate, almost reverent, but her eyes were fixed on the lonely boy in the wheelchair. Leo, 8 years old, was surrounded by stacks of books he didn't see, staring into nothingness with empty, lifeless eyes. Rosa's heart ached. That silence wasn't one of peace, it was a prison. Unable to resist, she began to hum a soft Italian lullaby her nana had taught her in her childhood. Ninna nanna, ninna o, questo bimbo a chi lo do. Her sweet, melodious voice echoed gently through the silent library. And then, something extraordinary happened. Leo, who hadn't responded to stimuli in 2 years, slowly lifted his head. His eyes, once dead, gained a subtle spark of recognition. He watched Rosa as if he were seeing an angel, and his lips moved, trying to follow the melody. Rosa noticed, and with her heart pounding, she slowly approached, continuing to sing. Leo watched her intently, and then, like a miracle, he whispered in a fragile but clear voice, "Rosa, mia maestra," my teacher. The young woman almost dropped her cloth. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Ciao, bambino," she replied in Italian, kneeling beside the wheelchair. In that instant, hurried footsteps echoed down the hall. Alexander Sterling, 38, a man marked by grief, stopped at the library door, paralyzed. His son, who hadn't uttered a single word in 2 years, was speaking in Italian to the cleaner. "Keep singing," Alexander whispered, his voice choked with emotion. But the scene was interrupted by the arrival of someone else. Margaret Santos, the housekeeper, appeared behind Alexander, her face contorted with a mixture of rage and panic. She watched the scene in horror, realizing her position of absolute power in the house was for the first time threatened. "What is going on in here?" Margaret demanded, her voice as sharp as broken glass. She made my son speak," Alexander stammered, not taking his eyes off the child. Rosa stood up, nervous, feeling the tension in the air. Leo reached a trembling hand toward her, murmuring again, "Rosa." His eyes shine with a lucidity he hadn't shown since the accident. "Who are you?" Alexander asked, approaching, still in shock. "And how did you get my son to talk?" Before Rosa could answer, Margaret burst into the library with the fury of a wounded beast. "These are cheap tricks," she yelled, pointing an accusatory finger at Rosa. "Mr. Sterling, this woman is using manipulative techniques on the boy." "I was just singing, ma'am, singing in Italian," Rosa defended herself, her cheeks burning with shame. Margaret laughed cruelly. "How convenient! Where would a simple cleaner from a poor neighborhood learn the language of the doctors who treated Leo in Europe?" She turned to Alexander, her voice dripping with venom. "I'm sure she researched Leo on the internet, memorized a few words to impress you. These women are all the same. They see a rich widowed man and start playing their dirty games." Rosa lowered her head, swallowing the humiliation. She needed this job. Her invalid mother depended on the money for expensive medication. "Margaret," Alexander intervened, softly but firmly. "She made my son speak for the first time in 2 years." "A coincidence," she retorted, stomping her foot. "I've been taking care of him for 15 years. I know every progress." "Get back to your work, Rosa," she ordered with contempt, "and don't you dare get near the boy again without my express permission."
Rosa left in silence, but as she passed, Margaret whispered venomously in her ear, "If you keep up with these tricks, you'll regret it bitterly, dear." That night, Alexander Sterling paced nervously in his office. He picked up the phone and called a private investigator. "I want to know everything about Rosa Bellini, where she lived, where she worked, why she speaks Italian so well, and also investigate the medical treatments Leo has received since the accident. Something is not right." Meanwhile, in the mansion's kitchen, Rosa watched Margaret prepare Leo's medicine. The housekeeper handled several vials with a suspicious familiarity, mixing liquids with calculated precision. "How long have you been in charge of the boy's medicine?" Rosa asked with feigned curiosity. "Since the accident that left him like this," Margaret answered defensively. "The doctors trust me." But Rosa noticed something strange. Leo always became drowsy and confused after taking his medicine. But that morning, before the meds, when she sang to him, the boy was alert and responsive. Her instinct and her forgotten expertise awakened a terrible suspicion. Rosa's story was a secret buried under layers of guilt and trauma. 5 years ago, in Rome, Dr. Rosa Bellini was a rising star. At just 23, she was a respected specialist at the St. Joseph Institute, one of Europe's most prestigious schools for children with special needs. Her revolutionary method, using music in multiple languages, broke neurological barriers. Her greatest pride was Marco, a boy with severe autism who, under her care, blossomed from nonverbal to a bright and communicative child. But on that terrible day, tragedy struck. During a storm, Marco, obsessed with saving a frightened kitten, ran into the street. Rosa ran after him, screaming desperately. She almost reached him, but the boy stepped onto the busy avenue. The truck couldn't brake. The accident wasn't Rosa's fault. The official investigation completely cleared her, but the media sensationalized the case. Experimental method questioned after tragedy. Her brilliant career crumbled. Traumatized and broke, she returned to the U.S., taking a job as a cleaner as a self-imposed penance, a way to punish herself and hide her talents from the world. Back in the present, in the mansion, Rosa watched Leo sleeping heavily after Margaret's dose. "I failed, Marco," she whispered in Italian. "I can't fail you too, little angel." She realized she had to act. Mid-video hook. Dear listener, the silent war in the Sterling mansion is just beginning. Rosa has the knowledge to save Leo, but Margaret will do anything to destroy her. Don't forget to leave a like to support Rosa's journey. Now, let's see how the housekeeper plans her final trap. Rosa's opportunity came during an elegant charity dinner at the mansion. While Rosa was working, a drunken socialite forgot her very expensive diamond ring in the bathroom. Rosa, honestly, found the jewel and handed it to Margaret. "Leave it with me. I'll return it personally," the housekeeper said with a serpentine smile. 20 minutes later, she silently went upstairs and planted the ring in Rosa's underwear drawer. In the middle of dinner, Margaret made her theatrical announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that we have discovered a thief in our home. Our employee, Rosa, has stolen the diamond ring of our dear Vivienne." "That's impossible," Rosa protested, horrified. "I gave the ring to you myself." The humiliation was public. The procession of elite guests went up to the maid's room, where Margaret, with perverse drama, found the ring. "Rosa," Alexander said, his face torn between the trust he was beginning to have in her and the social pressure, "get your things and leave my house, now." "Rosa, my mother is dying. I need this job," Rosa pleaded. "Leave," Alexander repeated, his voice breaking. From the window, Leo watched Rosa being thrown out. For the first time in 2 years, tears rolled down his face as he whispered, "Rosa, non andare via. Rosa, don't go away." Expelled and with her reputation destroyed, Rosa faced despair. No one would hire her. At the hospital, her mother's condition worsened, and the overdue bill was a death sentence. That's when her phone rang. It was Alexander. "Rosa, you need to come back, now," he said, his voice tense and desperate. "Leo, he stopped eating since you left. He won't talk, won't react to anything. The doctors are worried. Please, my son is dying." Rosa returned to the mansion and found Leo apathetic, just like in the worst days. She approached and whispered in Italian, "Ciao, piccolo principe." "Hello, little prince." Leo lifted his eyes and a spark of life returned. "Sei tornata," he murmured. "You're back." "I was wrong. Forgive me," Alexander said, tears streaming down his face. "Anything. I'll offer you triple your previous salary." "If you want me to help Leo," Rosa said with newfound firmness, looking directly at Margaret, who was watching from the doorway, "I need total freedom, and I want to review